Hello, 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 and welcome to the Rag Company DETALKSCAST. That's where we have somebody from the detailing industry. In this case today, we have Yvan Lacroix from Optimum Polymer Technologies. There's that cadence for you. Had a little frog in my throat, but I still made it through. Any rate, guys.
Good work, Dane. Good work.
Let's just see what Yvan is up to. Huh?
Yeah.
Hey, all right.
Get to it.
Well, so Yvan came in yesterday about 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
You left about midnight our time. You
Yeah,
woke up about
exactly, yeah.
midnight our time and then landed at 2 in the afternoon.
Do not drink the ONR. That's
It's
a
like,
waste
hey,
of
Dane,
ONR.
Dane,
Come
you
on.
got a frog in your throat. Just drink a little bit of that. You know.
Yeah,
Green
Yeah,
apple.
that'll distract me from the frog in my throat.
I think it will. But we did a main show podcast yesterday.
We did. Yeah, it was good.
And so we have him back.
We've
he's
never
back
had
here
one
for the
with a
whole
guest
week.
before. That was new. That was different.
We actually, the first podcast Levi was on was the Optimum Synergy podcast.
Right.
That we
Yes.
did in
Yeah.
your dad's office in the old building.
Yep.
With you and your dad.
Yeah. And I've been on your podcast once. We did a simulcast podcast
Right,
between the two
yeah.
of them about a year
we
and a
were
half
on
ago,
Skype,
2 years
yeah.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
was
kind
about
of
a
when we
year
were
ago
just
when we
starting
started.
out.
Yeah, exactly. So
No, it's great to actually have you physically here, but we definitely want to have you and Dan in sometime.
Yeah,
where we, can
we
all
had
sit
Dan
down.
on the podcast. For a
Well, and we
while.
did have him here.
Did
I
some-
want to
Yeah.
have them both, though.
Yeah.
It's funny because the first podcast I was ever on was on Dane's podcast.
Hey.
there you
The
go.
Optimum Synergy podcast. He
Yeah.
wanted to go over marketing and he wanted to talk about web optimization, search engine, and all of that.
Yep.
And so he brought me and Stacy in for that.
Yep.
And I told him, I'm like, I've never done a podcast before. And he's like, just roll with it. And he's like, I'm just going to ask you some questions. And he has his little recorder there. And it was really easy. It was really simple. And that was when I was like, okay, I could do that. And I found that I talked a lot longer than I thought I would. And
yeah, he had to edit that one a lot.
And then here we are. Yeah.
And now
A
he
year
does
later.
it every week.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
So, needless to say, people should go check out the Optimum Synergy podcast if they haven't already. I imagine if they're listening to this, they probably heard
there's
it
a good
before.
chance,
I would
yeah.
suspect. But
What
if
would
you
they-
haven't, you should.
Yeah, what would they find on that, Yvan, if they've never heard it before?
We're very much an educational podcast, like this podcast. We go over a lot of different things in the industry. We're not all about Optimum, just like the Rag Company is not all about the Rag Company.
Definitely not.
We don't always talk about microfibers here,
Nope.
and we don't always talk about the Optimum products. We talk about business. We talk about calculating cost, how to set up your retirement, how to do detailing ergonomically. All sorts of different things.
Health and safety.
Yeah, health and safety. Any issue that preoccupies a detailer.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys really have a good focus on efficiency. That's a
Well,
huge part of it because
that's
everything
because-
else benefits from that.
Yeah, that's because I'm part of the podcast, and
I figured
I'm
you
cheap
had
and
something to do
lazy,
with
so
that.
that's
Well,
my catchphrase. I'm cheap and lazy. So.
And you guys obviously, were detailers for years and years, and then Dan was a mobile detailer, right?
Yeah.
So he can talk all the sides of mobile. You can talk the sides of owning a shop. And you
Exactly.
can kind of bounce off each other. So you guys have a little bit to offer for everybody. So it's not just one person saying, well, I'm a mobile detailer. I don't think that applies to me. Well, actually, that would apply really well for you.
Well, and Dan was a mobile detailer in California, which is quite possibly the easiest state to be a mobile detailer in and the hardest state to be a mobile detailer in.
Yeah.
Because of all the laws, but then he's got all that great weather.
Yeah, well, he
year-round.
lives in San Diego, so a cold day is 68 and a hot day is 75.
Yeah.
Man, just the worst.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's
However,
hard down
like we
there.
said, the bad stuff is that he has to deal with the water restriction laws.
Exactly.
He has to deal with like the zoning and licensing in certain areas that they just won't allow
exactly.
that to happen. So
Yeah.
really
Clean Water Act and all that stuff, and basically,
well, employees. There's a bunch of different
and
stuff. So like I said, probably the hardest state to be a detailer in, but also the easiest state to be a detailer in.
Well, easiest state to be a detailer, hardest state to be a professional
That's
detailer.
right, professional.
That is a good point.
Well, because there's a lot of guys that'll come up to your car during rush hour traffic with a brush and
No, put the newspaper away,
And
stop it.
newspaper, and hey, I'll clean your windshield. No, don't touch it, don't touch it.
Do not touch my car.
Yeah.
But no, so we're excited to have you on here, Yvan. We want to know because we kind of briefly talked about the plans for Optimum in the upcoming months, upcoming year. In the main show podcast, we talked about it for just like 5-10 minutes or so.
Yep.
So we want to dive deeper into that, get to know the ins and outs of what's up with Optimum, what's going on.
Lots of changes.
Well, you've got a new job title.
I do.
Yes.
Actually, I'm co-vice president of business development. Dan is the other co-vice president.
Congratulations.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
VP, yo.
Yeah, VP. That's why I have a jacket now.
That's why he dresses up everywhere now.
why.
Yeah.
He's like, they gave me a little pay bump. I went and got this nice little blazer, and I'm ready to rock and roll.
No, actually, the blazer I got in India while I was doing a training.
Oh,
Very nice.
Yeah,
Great.
in India, if you're looking for a suit, go to India. Trust me.
Yeah, he said you got like a couple different suits.
Yeah,
when you're
and you walk into the store, and I was just walking through the mall because I wanted to get something to drink. I see the suits and quickly do the math in my head, and it's like $20 can't be. So I walk in the store, just look at the suits and good quality material, well constructed, and I say, how much is this one? Thinking they have one $20 suit in the back, and he said, oh, they're all the same price. Okay. Let's start trying on some suits.
And
So
do they do any fittings there? Is it just kind of you just basically throw it on and see what works?
they'll fit it.
Wow.
Luckily, I'm an off-the-shelf sort of guy.
Yeah. Wow.
Size-wise. But if you needed alterations, that was included in the price. And it's like, wow, okay.
That's pack light if you go to India because you're going to be bringing
coming
some
home.
stuff back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's amazing.
So made in India.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. So, Mr. VP, what is going on with Optimum?
Lots of changes. We're constantly growing, as always, but now we've outgrown the building we've been in for the last 10 years. So we are moving. We actually took possession 1st of September of the new building. It's about 10 times larger than the building we're in now.
Wow.
And the other building was
It wasn't
40,
small by any
50,000.
means.
It was big.
Yeah, it was
It's bigger than here.
Yeah, it was.
And
yeah.
we're 30,000 total.
Yeah.
So
It was,
yeah, you guys are.
It was at least twice the size of this.
Yeah, you're
so-
about 60,000, and now you're 10 times the size.
Yeah, it's a nice big building. We don't have. We bought the whole building. Part of it is leased out to other companies.
Okay.
So as we grow, we can finish off their leases and say, "Oh, goodbye."
Yeah, that'll
and
be
then
nice.
take over that space. But as an example, for my own personal happiness, the training center, we're going from 1,500 square feet to 6,000 square feet. So we'll be able to, instead of bringing one car in, we'll be able to bring 6 or 7 cars in the training room.
Yeah.
The training room will have a paint booth in it. The training room will have, more a clean room for the PPF install. So
Nice.
we'll have a lot of different things going on there. The manufacturing lines, instead of having right now we have 10 mixers. We'll be growing that. There'll be a dedicated mixer just for O&R.
It needs it.
Yeah, it needs it. We produce a lot of this stuff. We'll have dedicated filling lines. Right now we have 3 filling lines. We'll be growing that to at least 10. So right now the plan for the move is we're installing the new mixers, the new filling lines in the new factory before moving the old stuff. So the new factory will be up and running online. Then we dismantle the old factory and move it over.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there'll be no interruption
nice.
in production.
Yeah. Nice.
There might be 1 day or 2 days interruption in shipping, but that's about it.
That'll be nice.
People can survive that.
Yeah.
Well, and Dr. G is going to have his new lab.
Yeah, the lab is moving there as well. So the lab, I don't think will actually change.
Same size.
I don't know. I think it will actually literally be built to be moved the same way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's no.
Well, it's kind of
muscle
like
He likes
memory,
things a
all that
certain
kind of
way.
stuff.
You want
Yeah.
to see them
Yeah.
stay that way.
Yeah.
Well, it's like somebody reorganizing your tool bench and you
Yeah.
forget where everything is, right? He doesn't want to do that. He wants to go back to knowing exactly
So it'll be
where
it was
things are.
muscle memory.
Yeah. No, and his lab is optimized.
Yeah.
For
Everything
lack
you
of
know.
a better word.
Yeah.
But it's optimized for him. So, he designed it, he built it, it's what he wants. And, so that lab will move
Nice.
with him.
That'll be
So,
cool.
Yeah. Our staff is constantly growing, especially on the manufacturing side. So every time I walk into the building, there's new faces, and it's like, oh, they know who I am. I don't know who they are, but eventually I get to know them. But yeah, great staff. It's always growing. So, and we have new products too.
Yeah.
We've been doing for the last 3 weeks now, New Product Friday, and that's going to continue up until SEMA.
Wow.
Yeah, that'll be
Okay.
fun.
So
can you shed some light on what's been released so far?
What's been released so far? The new clay towel. The new clay
we
mitt.
have in stock.
Yeah. We have a new air-powered foamer.
Ooh.
That is not like the beautiful IK foamers that you guys have, but you need a compressor to use it.
Okay.
So not as convenient for some, but definitely it's a billet aluminum piece. It's really well built.
Very nice.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
It's dedicated
foamer. In the R&D process, we put it in some shops that were using it strictly for power clean, strictly for Fair-X, so no soap going through it, just harsher chemicals, we'll say.
Yeah.
It survived without even the anodization on it still looks new after a year.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and for like some of those shops, like there are guys that they use a foam cannon or something, they put that in.
Yeah.
This allows you to, if you have like a wash bay set up, you can put these foamers in
yes.
and just run them off the air, and then literally, like you're saying, dedicate a product to each foamer or to the tool. This way, you're not having to stop, rinse out your foam cannon or your any of that kind of stuff, and then put that in. You're not worrying about having soap in that or
No, exactly.
You could
you
literally
don't have to
create
mess around with a pressure washer.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to turn on your pressure.
Yeah.
You could have your pressure washer. It just
Save
makes
that
it
for
more,
other things.
Yeah, it makes it more efficient in the sense that you're not having to switch out different heads and units and water, and you can use less water because you're not having to hook up your foam cannon for it.
And you're not diluting the product with water.
Right.
So the air foamer, like the IK foamers, gives you a much better quality foam. You're controlling your mixture 100%. So,
Yeah. Do you know what the requirements are for an air compressor for people that are listening?
Like volume?
90 psi. If you're running it continuously, it's 8 CFM.
Okay.
But nobody holds the trigger of the foamer and lets it go for 5 minutes. So
No.
Sure,
I
there's
hope.
somebody.
Well,
that will.
okay. There might be like two people out there who are really committed.
Yeah,
but
typically you
This
don't
thing
do
ran
that.
out of air.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
it's not our fault.
Yeah.
Like, get a
But-
bigger air compressor.
One of my favorite uses for the power clean foaming is wheels.
Oh, we
uh,
love doing that.
We'll be doing videos that you'll see on the Rag Company YouTube channel, not the Detox channel, the YouTube channel. But when you're foaming it on a wheel, you basically don't need to brush, because as the foam bubbles break down, they're putting new product on the surface every time. So as that bubble breaks, it's putting product that hasn't contacted back on the surface and back on the surface. So the emulsifiers, etc., can start working fresh and again and again and again. So one easy test that I have people do when they have the IK foamer, when they have an air foamer, however they're foaming the product, is just get a really dirty wheel and tire, foam it on one half, and spray it on with the traditional sprayer on the other half. Let it dwell, rinse it off, and let it air dry. So don't agitate, don't touch it, and just see the difference. And it does make a really big difference. So as you were saying, efficiency.
Yeah.
Well, and that reminds me, if people hadn't seen that video you did at the back of your bus when you were foaming that thing.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That was what's that stuff called when it collects back there? They had a name for it.
Detroit diesel slobber.
Slobber. That's what it was. Yep.
Yeah.
No, that was nuts. Just looking at that thing transform completely.
Well, and that's one of the reasons that a lot of people like foam is that it's got a clinging dwell time ability in the sense that it'll sit longer
Exactly.
on the surface, so it can work a little harder. Rather than just the spray.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the another of the new products. The vinyl leather brush that you guys carry, we're carrying it now.
But
That's
it's
such a
not
good little
the
brush.
VLB
No.
that we carry. It's actually an Optimum
Yeah,
product
exactly.
now.
But same style of brush.
Yep, same style. But yeah, the Optimum has sourced their own and got a company that's making them for them. And and
nice. Our pile depth is just a little longer than yours.
Yep.
So
cool.
a little different, but nonetheless, other new products that are coming along eventually. Tar remover. So
okay.
and tar is an acronym actually. It's for tar, adhesive, and rubber.
Of course, gotta make an acronym out.
Yeah.
Well, and Dr. G likes to, like you said, he makes things only if he can make it better, or if he can find something that doesn't exist
Exactly.
in the market. That's the only time he likes to actually create something. So having something that's all in one, an adhesive and
rubber
remover makes it. There's always a tar. Or,
Goo Gun's not going to do that.
Or just an adhesive remover. Or just a rubber remover.
And it has no hydrocarbon solvents in it.
Oh,
that
that's
is
even nicer.
huge.
Yeah.
Because that's what you always run into.
You can literally spray it on a car, leave it for the weekend, and come back and hose it off on Monday morning.
Oh.
Well, if that's not peace of mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
It's been done many times in testing. So
is that going to come in like a 16-ounce spray bottle? Or how?
the 17-ounce spray bottles.
Yeah.
So I imagine the people who are doing a lot of debadging on the market would like something like that.
They'll like it. People removing tinted windows.
Okay, yeah.
That old crusty PPF that's been on there on the car for 10 years. Or people removing wrap. You know, anything that has adhesive. Race car owners.
The rubber.
Yeah. When I was visiting the K-Pax race team, the mechanics, I had a sample of the tar, and they were using brake cleaner trying to get the tar out of the wheel wells.
That's like everybody's move. It's like,
Bentley.
just use brake cleaner.
Yeah.
It's just for everything.
And it wasn't working. I just sprayed in a bit of the tar remover, and they wiped it off. And like, oh, wait, this stuff actually works. That's the R at the end of tar. You know.
Our name's on your car.
Yeah, tar. The Opti-Coat logo on the side of the Bentley. Yeah. So that's one of the products. We have a tire coating coming.
Yes, I heard about this. I'm excited about it.
I've had it on OptiForce 1 since September of last year, so it's been a year now. It hasn't cracked, hasn't faded. It's still looking good. I've had it on the Jeep. We've put it on a number of vehicles over the last year, and testing works great.
I'm super curious. Just thinking of tire coating. Is that something that exists right now, or is that a totally new concept?
It's not a new concept.
Familiar.
Yeah,
Okay.
there are some products on the market that exist. That the ones that were on the market, we like the idea. So when the other companies came up with this, the idea was good. Their method of doing it was not necessarily great.
Okay.
They were prone to cracking.
Okay.
They were prone to peeling.
Well, yeah, it's just it's the contact area with the road on a vehicle, so you think it's going to be put under much higher stress than other
there's
surfaces
a lot more heat
are.
cycles too.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, you're heating up, cooling down, all that stuff. And I was just really fascinated by the idea of that, because maybe I'm out of loop. I just hadn't heard of a tire coating before.
It's not extremely popular, but it's something. It's not permanent. It's we're saying it's going to last 6 months. It actually will last longer than that. But
on tires, that's really
But
impressive.
the fact that you could dress a tire and it still remains dry. I mean, OptiBond already lasts
great,
a really long time.
Most people are getting a month out of OptiBond.
Yeah. I find it anywhere from a month to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Before it starts to lose its sheen. But to have something go for 6 months and still look like a black tire.
Well, I'm imagining, obviously the intent is it works on vehicles that are going all the time, but man, imagine what it does for a car in a museum where you don't have to retreat stuff all the time.
Exactly.
That must look great for a really long time.
And again, not wanting to just put a product out there for the looks.
Sure.
It's there to protect the tire. So it has UV inhibitors in it.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to help protect the tire from further damage.
Like dry rot and stuff like that you run into?
Yeah, a little bit,
Okay.
but yeah. It's more the UV.
Okay.
So
Fading and things like that.
Yeah.
Cool. That's
That's really cool.
Anything else other than that, or?
Oh yeah, lots of stuff.
Lots of stuff that
stuff
we
you can't tell
talk
us.
Can't talk about. Okay.
Well, we have one that we're going to be doing a video on later today.
Yeah.
Which is a.
We don't need to talk about.
No, we don't need to talk about it. But yeah, we have a
dying to know now.
Yeah, we'll tell you later, but not
When the
on
video
air.
comes out, you'll be able to see it.
Yeah.
Yep.
We have another product as well. We have 2 new products that don't exist on the market that are coming as well. So
Nice.
all
Wow.
before SEMA, and then at
that's
SEMA
cool.
we have other new stuff.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
That'll be rad.
So is there like one thing off the top of your head that you think is going to be pretty mind-blowing, that you think people are going to really, really love?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll just leave it at that then. Yeah.
That
hopefully we'll be putting on a Volvo soon.
Oh, wow. Okay. Hey. All right.
Free stuff.
Never said free.
Oh, no. Oh, okay.
Back to work, Dane.
No.
Dane, you got to edit the video.
I got to earn it.
It's got to be played.
So I think this would be a good time to, because I get this question a lot from customers that call in, and then I've had people in the store ask me. And so maybe you can kind of just reiterate and explain this. So a lot of people ask me what the difference is between OPT, Optimum Polymer Technologies, with your little oval logo, versus Opti-Coat.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're actually two separate companies.
Okay.
So they're under the same roof, same ownership, same guidance, but the Opti-Coat line is the professional line sold only to authorized Opti-Coat installers.
Okay.
The Optimum Polymer Technologies line is the consumer line.
Gotcha.
So that is the major difference between the two.
Long and short.
Okay.
Yeah. Optimum Polymer Technologies is actually the manufacturer of the Opti-Coat line.
Yes.
So in a legal sense, Optimum Polymer Technologies manufactures Opti-Coat, sells it to Opti-Coat, Opti-Coat sells it to the distributors.
Gotcha. Okay. Because people ask all the time, they say, I see this OPT logo, but is OPT, is that gloss coat? Because people say, I want to gloss coat my car. Is that an Opti-Coat? And I tell them, well, that is it's a ceramic coating, or it's a coating underneath the OPT brand rather than the Opti-Coat Pro Plus or Pro brand. Right.
And they are different coatings.
Yeah.
The Opti-Coat coatings, they're pure SIC.
Mm-hmm.
The gloss coat is a hybrid coating. The gloss coat was actually originally designed as a professional coating.
Yeah.
As our 2-year coating offering, 2-year warranted coating offering for professional installers that wanted something with a little more gloss than Opti-Coat initially offers. Because Opti-Coat is a weird, or not weird, but different coating. Yeah. When you apply it, it's not at its best. It's at its best a month later.
Right, and you saw that on your car when you had it done.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It takes a month for it to finish cross-linking. And in that month, it gets glossier and glossier and glossier. But people want instant satisfaction.
Yeah.
So Dr. G said, we can give them that. Design gloss coat. When we were testing, excuse me, the frog came over here.
Oh, no.
When we were testing gloss coat, it became gleefully apparent that it's super easy to apply. And we said,
that's the biggest point of it all is
exactly.
It's so easy.
It's extremely easy. It's a fun coating to work with.
Yeah.
You have to try to screw it up. If you can apply a wax, gloss coat is easier to apply. It's just that simple. So with that, we said, no, this will be our new consumer coating.
Yeah.
And that's where we went with it. But it's a hybrid coating of SiO2 and SiC.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, because a lot of people ask about that, and they say, because the more educated consumers are getting on coatings and being able to do things themselves. This greatly changed over this last year and a half. With our first videos that we had with gloss coat, that was still kind of a newer thing. People getting used to doing their own ceramic coatings.
Yes.
And then now people are actually asking, hey, I want to do this myself. Is this what I want to use? And so.
Yes.
Very recently we've had a lot of people call in and ask and say, hey, what do you think of gloss coat? Is this the proper application method for me? Is it easy to use? And I always tell them, I'm like, this is like the best way to ever start using a coating.
If you've never tried a coating before, the gloss coat's what you need to do.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's extremely easy, and because people always ask, well, what about the high spots? I'm like, listen, you're going to have to try to leave high spots on gloss coat. I'm like, literally just take your towel and just level it out and just that's
put a little more on.
Or a little more.
Wipe it on. It's that simple.
But a little goes a long way even at the same time. So
and the difference is because there's coatings out there to where you can't do a whole fender or half of the vehicle, right? And then go back and start wiping off. Like
You're
gloss
tempting
coat,
fate by doing that.
And guys, I know environmental factors play a difference in this, so don't go taking everything
Here
I
in
say.
Idaho.
But here in Idaho, we can typically gloss coat an entire half of a vehicle, right?
Yep.
By hand, go back, it's from their start wiping everything, comes off beautifully, no high spots,
and
no
you
issues.
can hit all the plastics and the side glass and all that stuff without any problem. So maybe if you
mask anything off,
you touch it, you're not going to hurt it. Where other coatings, they're not designed to sit on that plastic or on that glass.
No, exactly.
Or sit on the paint for too long.
Yeah,
then you'll
too.
go back and try to remove it, and it is sticky and tacky, and
It's
it's
already
not coming
bonded.
off.
Yep.
It's
You
not
had your
coming off.
chance, you blew it.
So that's where it's like gloss coat is that perfect product for people getting introduced to that. And people, like I said, the more educated consumers are getting, the more questions we receive about that. And I try to say, hey, start with this first, test it out. And they always say, I'm going to test it out on the wife's car first. Is there enough to do the rest? I'm like, absolutely.
Yeah.
You
Enough
can
for
do
two
the
cars
wife's car
in there.
and your car.
Well, and because like
get your
other
feet wet.
coatings, you only need one application of it.
One coat is all you need.
Yeah, and if you are wanting to add more, or you want to use the rest of the vial, that's when I always basically did the front nose of the car, the lower skirts, and the very back of the car. I just added a second, extra coat on that.
Throw it on the wheels while you're at it.
Well, you can do your wheels,
definitely.
you can do all that. But and then when whatever's left over, hit your air conditioning unit, hit your air compressor. Do your bicycle.
Well, and you can even store it. Just make sure you get all the air out of it. There's a trick there that you've talked about where you kind of flip it upside down and keep tapping the bottom there until you remove most of the air.
Yep.
Seal it, put it in a plastic bag, and you can store it for...
Put it in the fridge or the freezer,
Okay.
and you can store it for a year easily.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I was just going to point out a big part of it, once again, I mean, the ease of application, but it's the user experience. If somebody's coming in and they go, I've never applied a coating before, I want to try out this coating stuff, what would you recommend? It's always gloss coat, because the big part for me when it comes to the user experience is trying not to set somebody up for failure or discouragement or anything like that. If somebody uses a product and it doesn't go well for them, they, a lot of times, for better or for worse, have a tendency to write off a whole category of products because they had a bad experience with one product. And it's like, well, let's make sure we set you up for success here. So we're going to give you the easiest possible way to do it. And just because it's easy doesn't mean it's not good. It's actually going to hold up really well compared to any of the other coatings you would be doing anyway.
Yeah.
And there's no need for a yearly or biannual reapplication or a topper.
reload.
Right, yeah.
Exactly.
At that point, it's just redoing the product.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it's true. I mean, with how affordable it is, you could just, reapply it rather than spending, you can spend around $70 for a 10cc vial of gloss coat and do multiple cars, or you can spend $30, $20 on a boosting spray, right? And at that point, you're like, halfway there.
The barrier to entry is really low, and I know it sounds like I'm trying to sell on this, but it's like, okay, when it comes to gloss coat, if you want to get into coatings, it's a much better pathway to take than some of these more complicated ones you see out there where it's like honey and you're fighting it and it's a whole deal. This is a good way to get you in the door, and then after that, maybe you figure out what you want to do. But at least that's going to cover you for a couple of years, realistically.
Absolutely. And people always ask, like, well, am I going to get the full 2 years out of it? And I kid you not, right? And I've seen different examples of people have taken their cars to the car wash, and it wore down at a much faster rate than it normally would. But what's her name that comes in with the Porsche?
Lori?
Lori. Is that her name? Yeah, Lori. I think she's going over 2 years right now on her
but
Porsche.
She is a fanatic and washes it with O&R every week and tops it with Opti-Seal.
Meticulous.
Yeah.
Like meticulous. And the car looks amazing still.
Oh, yeah, it looks great.
And because she's like, I only have the 2-year coating on here, but she's like, I'm going on 2.5 years now. And I'm like, that's amazing.
Yeah, but that's because she washes it every week in O&R and then tops it with Opti-Seal.
Yeah. And it's awesome. So
the car just stays.
For reference, take care of it. Take care of your things. Take care of your investments. And who knows? It could last longer,
Yeah. And speaking of gloss coat, this morning I was down in the warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
There was a container that was being emptied, and there's new towels in the container
There are new
specifically for
towels.
coatings.
Yes.
Ooh.
We've
very
been
excited about
waiting
that.
for those.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. The pearls. They haven't. I don't
I
think
was
they're
like,
in
are we
there. I
talking
don't think they
about
were
it?
there in
Yeah.
that
No?
order, were they? I think they come in the next container.
Oh, okay. Because
Yeah.
They saw the box and got all your hopes up.
Well, you saw some boxes and a container.
lots of boxes. A container full of boxes.
Well, we're
No,
gonna
but
have a
we have
container
our-
every week for the next
Yeah.
2 months.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we have actually like almost 2 containers.
yeah, that's true.
We've got 4 containers on the water at the moment.
Yeah.
80 feet of towels containers per week, basically.
So we've got we do have the pearl. The new pearl is coming out. It's coming back. We had it. We sold out because it went so fast. So the
was
factory
nuts.
couldn't make them fast enough. So they're finally ready. They're on the water. They're on their way. We assume next week is the next, or later the end of this week is when it'll arrive. But we'll probably not get them into the store until end of next week or the beginning of the following week. So definitely have them before the 1st of October, I believe.
Well, and so one of the biggest reasons that they sold so fast is because we dropped some education on people with the whole pearl weave and how that's designed with that more of that closed loop design.
It's a tighter weave.
A tighter weave, and so instead of having those smaller terry fibers that tend to dig into the pores of the paint and tend to dig into the paint to lift things, right? You don't always necessarily need that, especially with a coating. We wanted something that was going to be able to glide and level rather than pull more product off than what was actually necessary. So when we started testing the pearl weave on different coatings and all of that, we had nothing but fantastic results. And the idea was to create a towel that was still affordable, a towel that you could throw away without feeling bad if you chose to do that, but also something that was going to be really consistent and still have enough bite for the tougher coatings to remove, but still be soft enough and safe enough to level even the easiest of coatings.
Well,
like
and one of the
gloss coat.
great things about a pearl weave is that it's almost lint-free.
Yeah, that's true.
That helps a lot for on those surfaces. Also, we went with an 80-20. A lot of people were a little surprised by that.
Yeah,
Thought,
why
why not?
Intentional.
Why wouldn't you do a 70-30?
Yeah, it's very intentional.
Yeah.
An 80-20 is less absorbent than a 70-30, and we don't need to reabsorb the coating. We just need to level the coating.
Exactly.
Correct. And 80-20 is the standard for auto detailing. I mean, that's where you want to be as a base standard, the gold standard. If you want to bump up to a more premium towel in terms of absorption, then you would bump up to a 70-30. But because we're only trying to level it, it's an 80-20
You're not trying
more
to
than
absorb everything.
more than
No,
necessary.
exactly.
Yeah. Well, and what we found too is there are guys that are using it for, they like it for PPF also.
Yeah.
We have a friend who used it for some PPF, really fell in love with it and said, I want to order these. And I said, I am out. And he was like, why did you send me these to try? I was like,
to get your hopes up and then dash them.
sorry, bud. Yeah.
We've had a lot of people, and then I've had people say, hey, I used that green glass towel. It worked really, really good. I'm like, okay, you like the glass towel? I'm guessing you used a lot of product because it has a really short nap and all of that. And he's like, no. I have it's this one right here. I'm like, oh, that's the pearl. That's like technically we made that as more of a coating towel. He's like, yeah, amazing on glass.
And funny story. We actually had the pearl in our lineup 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And we had it under as a wax removal towel.
Yeah.
And people bought it and liked it, but it wasn't a very strong seller.
Yeah.
But it wasn't ever marketed, so we stopped carrying it because it was one of those towels that just
it was just a slow seller. So
it just didn't do enough.
To that point, marketing is not a bad thing if it's done with, the point being the honesty of it. It goes, well, we're marketing it for this because this is what it does best. So we're going to guide you this way. It's a towel. You can use it however you want, but this is what we find is its real strong suit.
Yeah.
And since we figured that out with it, it was like, oh, well, game over. That's what it does, and it does it really well.
And to remind you guys, the company previously was owned by an older galliner and her husband, and they produced microfiber or sold microfiber as for different options and things like detailing, but also janitorial, hotel, spa. And it wasn't until the Hennens purchased the company and took it over that we started, we created the brand name. We created the company had always been called the Rag Company, but we created a brand, and then we started our marketing. We started doing videos, Yvan and I doing the videos together with Dane, and Dane starting to create names and things
before
for
that,
the towels.
we had no brand name recognition. It was private labeling for other companies. It was a very common way of doing it. So we always joked, it's like, you may not have heard of the Rag Company, but you probably felt a Rag Company towel at some point if you bought from some of the higher end detailing companies.
And the old Pearl was just a towel that was a type of weave, and it was known as a wax removal towel, and they came in like a yellow, light yellow, and it just wasn't a strong seller. So
it's just not attention grabbing enough.
As ceramic coatings have become more and more popular, more and more manufacturers, and Opti-Coat has been using a pearl weave for years.
Yeah, that's the towel we supply with the Opti-Coat. Every Opti-Coat package, the Opti-Coat installer gets a brand new pearl weave towel with it as their towel to use with the Opti-Coat installation.
Yeah, and so Opti-Coat G-Technique uses a pearl weave as well. A
lot of the places that have that kind of stuff,
uses a pearl weave as well. And so as more and more manufacturers request that a pearl weave be used to remove coatings, for us it was just like, okay, we can't ignore it anymore. We need to bring out a pearl weave because you know, we need to add it to the lineup.
Ivan's the right guy to ask. To this point, I know I kind of brought this up in passing conversation yesterday, but maybe it's just me. Some coatings are different. I'm really perplexed when I see people using a humongous fluffy towel to level a coating. It just seems counterintuitive to me. Like, I get the love for big fluffy towels, but I'm confused when I see that because it just doesn't seem to fit the application.
For myself, I've always used Opti-Coat. So we don't want to remove the coating. We want to level it.
Right.
That's why we have an 80-20. That's why we use a pearl weave.
Short nap.
Short nap. Yep. I'm a fan of short nap towels. It's just the way I am. The only thicker nap towel that I like is the minx.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, you know, I like the feel of the minx. It's, you know,
it's a good feeling towel.
Yeah, a minx blanket, I'm all for it.
Now we know what to get him for Christmas.
Or a minx bath towel. Oh, that would be great. I use a waffle weave at the moment, but the Dry Me a River, I think, the big one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's my bath towel at the moment. But, you know, if you had a minx that size, I'm just saying, you know, suggestion.
Really noted.
Product suggestion. But anyways, the thicker towels, I find, create more work because you're having
to do multiple passes.
Multiple passes, more pressure is needed. And those loose fibers, not loose fibers, but those long fibers, as they swirl around
there's
on the
a greater
surface,
chance of some of those getting left
Exactly.
behind.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to ask, because it was one of those things where I've seen some people do it, and it just kind of scratched my head. It's like, okay, but personal preference. If it works for you, great. Maybe in your environment, conditions are different or something. It just never seemed to work for
And there's never
us.
a wrong towel for the job?
No. It's whatever towel you're using must be the right towel because you chose to use it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's just that when it comes to towels and things, and, you know, when it comes to towels and everything that we create and develop in general, you know, like Levi was saying before, right? We had this gap where we didn't have that pearl weave, but we did have it at one time, but then we didn't have it again, and that was, of course, on the uprise of coatings. But one of the biggest things that we do nowadays here, and we've done for the last couple of years, that the previous owners didn't do, was the amount of product testing the amount of...
Well, they didn't have detailers on their staff like we have now. Like,
the best you could do is send it to a detailer and hope their feedback was accurate.
Yeah, and the development that goes into that, and that's the thing, we're very picky here. And not only do me and Levi just test things, but we also send them out to specific test groups that we have locally, and then out inside the country as well as outside of the country, to our friends in Europe and to people all over the world. And so we say, hey, this is an idea coming up. We want you to try this out. Tell us what you think. Be brutally honest with us. And we're able to basically dial in that initial request or that idea that we had. I mean, for example, the pearl, we were bringing the pearl back, right? But we had to decide, what GSM would we make this? What kind of stitch would we put on it, right? Do we go overlock? Do we go edgeless? Do we put a border? Do we do suede, silk?
Some people are very picky about what border goes on their towel.
How do we do this to still make it cost efficient, right? To where you can throw it away, still make it to where you can buy in wholesale cases, because the thing is most of these people that are doing coatings around the country as a business, we always tell people, buy wholesale. That makes sense. You're going to be using these towels.
Yeah.
You get them for dirt cheap, and then you can toss them. You don't have to feel bad about it, or you can demote them to something.
But at the same time, we have to make a towel that is, that one, makes us money.
Yeah.
Two, makes the customer money.
Yep.
And gets it in at a price point where, like we said, all our stuff's AA grade microfiber. So that comes at a premium already.
Yeah.
Because we are using the best of the best microfiber yarn, period.
Yeah.
For all our towels, whether they're Chinese or South Korean, they all come from our South Korean yarn supplier. And we go in just like a butcher on a restaurant on a Friday. We go in and pick out all the best cuts of meat. We're doing the same thing with our yarn. We're buying all the best yarn we possibly can. We're buying the majority of it so that other companies kind of don't have access to it.
Well, we deal in volume to a point that we get first dibs on that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Because, we've got the relationships. We've been making microfiber since 1999. So we're able to do things that other companies can't, just plain and simple. But like you're saying, we try to make something that price-wise fits for not only the customers, for ourselves, but makes it attractive enough that they can purchase it, enjoy it, use it, make money off of it.
And to that point, the Pearl, once again, the whole blend, question, the 80-20 versus 70-30. Yeah, the perception is 70-30 is the best, but in some applications, as we talked about, 80-20 makes more sense. Well, in this case, it was both the correct way to do it for application purposes, and it helped reduce a little bit of the cost of the towel for the end consumer.
Yeah.
So obviously that was a win-win, and that definitely made sense in that particular case. So
Yeah,
otherwise, if it was 70-30, it would be 70-30 just for the pure case of saying it's 70-30.
Literally.
But you know what? That's not what we do. We want to find the right use, the right application, and we'll tailor those towels specifically for those purposes when we talk with the manufacturer, get it set up and set it to our specs.
Yeah.
It's done in a way that makes sure that it fits all the needs required.
Yeah.
And
true.
one little thing, you keep mentioning throwing the towel away. With gloss coat, you don't need to
you
do
don't
that.
have to.
Correct.
Yeah.
We always soak them, man. You just throw them in a bucket of O&R.
Yeah, and you're good to go.
You're good to go. You don't have to worry about it.
You can definitely save those. And so, even Brian Prescott, he's even saved towels from Opti-Coat Pro Plus.
Yeah.
And he's just soaked them, and then he's washed them, and he's like, I still use these. And I'm like, and part of me is like, wait, what? You still use these? And he's like, trust me, man. He's like, feel the towels, feel them. Does these feel bad? I'm like, no, they feel just fine. He's like,
when the coating application is done properly, your towel doesn't even get damp.
Yeah,
because it's not absorbing any product from the vehicle. It is just literally leveling the high spots.
Oh yeah, no. If you've ever used gloss coat and you feel the towel, it's dry to the touch. You know what I mean? You might feel a little bit of something on the fiber. I mean, that's
minimal.
I'm very minimal.
But again, the product's humidity cured. So as long as it's never, if you can get it wet, it stops the curing process right off the bat. And as you're soaking them in the O&R, then you just take them, throw them in the washing machine, wash out what's in it, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
And what I used to do for folks that are wondering, how do I do this? What am I going to reuse those towels for? I got the same color towels to remove coatings as I did to detail interiors.
Yeah.
So what I'd do is I'd take my coating towels after they were done, and I would wash them, and then they would begin their new life as an interior towel.
Yeah.
And so they ran, and people go, well, what about your guys pulling those towels to remove coatings? Well, no, because I had a new box of new towels for coatings, and that's what we would pull. So I would take 8 towels out of that box, and I would set them on whoever's detailing and doing that coating, put those on their workbench and go, these are for your coating as they are getting ready to start the coating process.
Yeah.
The car they are getting ready. They've got their gloves on, they've got their mask on, and they are getting ready to coat the car. They've got the vial in their hand, they're getting ready to do their pies. That's what they've got. There's their new towels. Those towels wouldn't come out until they're ready to start the coating. Yeah. And a lot of that is just making the time as a business owner to give your guys the least number of things that they need to worry about.
Yeah.
And like we said, don't give them the option.
No.
They wait, and then they get ready to do the coating. You bring their towels out to them. Here you go. there's your towels to use for this job.
Yep, exactly.
And they go, oh, cool, thanks. And that's it. And you're not bringing them out the beginning of the job.
No.
When they've got to clean the interior of the car or they've got to wash. Here's your towels for the go. Oh, thanks. Yeah, because they're just going to sit and collect dirt.
Yeah.
You bring them out. All right, you ready to coat? Here you go. That takes that option out of their head, because now as they're removing the coating or leveling the coating, when they're done with those towels, they just throw them in the bucket of O&R that they've been using. And when they're done, we pull those towels out, wring them all out, throw them in the wash, pull them out of the washing machine, and they go in the next bin that is strictly for interiors.
Yeah.
And the rest of the guys use those towels because they only pull towels from that bin for interiors.
Well, a little responsibility at the very end of your coating application process, when you got it all done, you drop that in the O&R or whatever you got there, and you make sure that it's taken care of quickly rather than waiting a long time.
Right, but I see guys that are like, I have to color code.
Responsible move.
They're like,
if you're in a shop.
I have to color code.
Oh,
well, okay, but color code the coating towels the same as the interior towels, or the same as the dirty job towels that you want to use for, because then you have that. You're already into your color code. Guys that go, oh, I use this towel for coating removal. Okay, but then you're going to throw them. If you're going to throw them away, oh, that's fine. That's your prerogative, but you don't have to. And it's something that you can get a lot of use out of, thereby saving you more money.
Yeah,
because you're getting to use those towels in another capacity. Yeah. Like it doesn't make sense to me.
It would be like basically buying a case of 365 miners, and then you can use them as your coating towel, brand new, and then they can be your dirty towel afterwards, and they're gray and it works, and they still have a short nap. It's a nice blend. It's a good towel. So that's one option, but. I think that's what.
So that's why we like that, because, like we said, it lends itself so well. You could still clean glass with it. Hell, you could make that towel your glass cleaning towel if you want, and put it in there, or use it for interiors. I mean, it lends itself so many ways that it's because it's an 80-20 towel. You can use it on interiors. It's not going to hurt anything. And if you're using 245s already, you're getting actually a better towel out of your pearl weave. Yeah. And you're killing two birds with one stone.
Yeah, definitely.
No, so I kind of wanted to transition, just out of curiosity, because I still get a lot of people that call in that are new to O&R, right? You know, with this uprise in the detailing world, and and how many consumers are doing it themselves and learning and educating and watching videos, there is still a lot of people that call in and say, "Hey, I've never done an O&R wash. I hear you talk about it all the time. I see you do it. I'm scared to try it."
That can't really work, can it?
From your perspective, Ivan, like, how many new O&R users have you seen in the last year and a half? Are you seeing,
especially as you've been traveling in the United States?
Many, and not just the U.S., all over the world. The O&R users, they're constantly growing. The sales of O&R, the chart is always going up. That's why it's getting its own dedicated production line in the new facility.
Makes sense.
It has to. It's just we're at that point. But O&R, the way I equate it is, people are willing to, adapt new technologies in just about everything in their lives. Who is still using a phone where they have to dial? No, everybody's got smartphones.
Yeah.
You sit in your car, you press a button. You don't stick a metal rod in your front bumper and crank to start your car. But yet, you wash your car in a method that they did 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Or that Ben-Hur used to wash his chariot. It's that old of a technology. And but I don't want to change that. Ooh, why? You're changing everything else. You're willing to adopt new technologies that are better everywhere else except for that. Why?
Yeah, I just got a 4K DVD player for my TV room.
Ooh, look at you, Mr. Fancy.
Yeah. But I bought that because I have a 4K TV. I don't have a black and white television that I'm going to watch these 4K DVDs on. I'm going to utilize the newest technology for it.
I just bought a TV.
Hey, all right, yay!
That's a big move.
Yeah, I know.
I haven't watched it yet, but I got one.
But it's like what you're saying. It's the clear coat and paint technology on vehicles have changed so much.
Yeah.
That why wouldn't you?
Exactly, and it's simply put, it's safer, it's better, it's easier, it's more economical. It gives you a better quality wash, all around.
Yeah.
The only thing that soap does better than O&R is make bubbles.
That's true.
There are so many people who write in and go, yeah, I got one of those foamers, so I can foam O&R, right?
No.
And I always...
You can.
I have to,
You're
I'm
not
like,
going to get any foam, but you can apply it to the vehicle that way.
Bubble. That's
Yeah.
it. That's it.
It's just going to kind of
puff
and sputter out
It
a little bit.
actively
And
fights trying to foam.
and
So
yeah,
it's,
And it kills foam. So
Yeah,
if you want
exactly.
to, if you want to use soap, you can use car wash soap, and you can put a little O&R in it, and you're just going to have liquid that you're going to be putting on your car.
it's one of those things that just cracks me up. It's like, I know you like foaming, I get it, but if you're going to use O&R, you use it as directed. It's going to work like it's supposed to. You try foaming it, who knows?
And if you want to foam Power Clean, foam Ferrex, foam something that's actually going to do something on your car.
Well, and to car wash soap's credit, it foams really well.
Oh, it does. Well, that's one of the things, Dr. G, people always ask him, why do you make car wash soap when you
got
make
this stuff?
He says, I always make car wash soap, and I make it it's one of the formulas that gets revised whenever new base materials come out to make it better, to make it foam more, to make it
smell better, to look
lubricate,
better.
yeah, everything. It gets improved just like the other products on a regular basis. The reason? He doesn't want anybody to be able to say, oh, you guys make O&R because you don't know how to make
Therefore,
soap.
this one must suck.
Yeah.
It's like,
And
no.
Yeah.
Honestly, Optimum car wash soap is probably one of the best car wash soaps.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
crazy.
Because it actually,
It's good.
and what's crazy is like we've seen, and other people have posted this on videos on YouTube, they'll wash or they'll foam their car with car wash soap, and they will watch the water sheet away off their vehicle, and there'll be you'll see it compared to other soaps.
Yeah.
How much cleaner the surface gets.
It leaves less residue.
Yeah. And a lot of guys say that, and they've seen it, and they're like, oh man, it's way cleaner than it was with this soap that I tried the week before.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a legit soap. But I've loved O&R, and one of the reasons I changed in my detail shop to utilize O&R was I was already starting to see go down the barrel of water restrictions. You remember the junk man was always like, I have a 6-inch drain, I'm going to use soap and water, I don't need to ever worry about O&R. Well, in my detail shop, I had drains, I had a collection tank. The city would come inspect it every few months and test it and make sure I wasn't pouring anything down there that wasn't supposed to be down there. But it got to the point that in my shop, on my property, with a permeable surface, I wasn't allowed to wash.
Yeah.
On the property. So if my guy had a car outside and he just wanted to spray off some mud and dirt before he pulled it into the wash bay, we weren't allowed to do that.
No,
Kind of a problem
In
if
the
you're
city.
a detail shop.
which is weird, right? You'd think like, oh, but you have a drain and you have a pressure washer, and why? My city was actively starting to change its restrictions because we were right on the river, and so the drains drained to the river, and so they said we're trying to protect this, and even the permeable surface for the groundwater, because of how high the groundwater was. They're like, we can't have you using soap and water and degreasers unless it's going into collection system. And so that was one of the reasons we switched to rinseless, was because all of a sudden it allowed me to be more productive because I could have my guys spray a car down and then wash it with O&R.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I could have the car prepped and ready to go, already washed, ready to go for my detailers to grab. They could have 6 cars that were all washed, ready to go, that all they had to do was pull in a car, detail it, pull it out, grab the next one, pull it in. So it made my detailers more efficient in the sense that they could get cars done because they didn't have to wash every car.
Exactly.
And my wash boys could take care of that and wash the car.
Yeah.
But this way they could do it out front. They could do 2 at a time. They could have 1 car in the wash bay, 1 car sitting behind it, and they just get a basic rinse, and pressure wash in the wash bay to get all the mud and dirt and stuff.
Yeah,
that
and
was
no
heavy.
rinse does not mean you don't rinse the car.
You don't have to pre-rinse it. Yeah.
Oh man, the number of times I've heard that.
But I would. That's how we. And you were at my shop. You saw how we did it, and we would pre-rinse the car. We'd pressure wash all the heavy dirt and grime and stuff that was accumulated on it, or they'd spray power clean on the front, get some of the heavy bugs off, and then they'd pull them out, and they'd set like 3 of them up, and then buckets with O&R and big red sponges, and my guys would just wash the cars.
Yeah, exactly.
And then dry them off and pull them back out. But they'd get all the wheels and tires and door jambs and all the hood and the engine in the wash bay where it needed to go.
So to reiterate, no rinse means at the end when you're done.
Yeah, there's no
you
final
can
rinse.
dry it off without having to rinse it.
Well, actually,
and
you
you can
don't
leave it.
want to rinse it.
Yeah.
Oh, you do.
You can,
Well, actively
you can,
don't.
You can leave it on the surface too.
Yeah.
So that saved my guys time too. Is that they could just literally wash the car
Leave it there.
and leave the O&R on the surface, pull it out, and park it in the parking lot. Because my next detailer that picked that car to detail would pull it into his bay. He would have a bucket of O&R ready to go, and he could just re-wet the surface to get rid of the polymer spots on the surface because it wouldn't leave hard water.
Yeah, and if you're going to be polishing, even if it's dried on the surface, go ahead and polish it.
It'll be fine.
Yeah.
And that was one of the reasons, because my guys would start, and then they were going to use O&R to remove the polish and things like that.
Well,
so it was much simpler.
Yeah, and that's one thing I wanted to ask you because, once again, I mean, we more than any other products, we always receive questions about like O&R, that kind of stuff, just because of how prolific it is.
Yes.
But I always see this online where, okay, people obviously know when you're using wash and wax, you're leaving wax behind on the surface.
Yes.
Now, if you're using the blue guy here, wash and shine, some people are insistent that it's leaving something behind on the surface, you know, so that they can't work on it afterwards, which seems odd to me. It's like, no, of course you can work on it afterwards.
Yeah, definitely.
That's why you use the blue one as opposed
it's actually not leaving anything on the surface.
Okay.
It's removing everything. Unlike a soap that leaves a residue, O&R tries to return the surface back to its original state. If you've ever seen a car come out of a paint booth, that is the most hydrophobic a car can ever be,
And,
more than a coating.
Yeah, and actually, if you've polished, corrected, and finished your paint, and then paint prepped it or whatever and got it so that it's fully naked, it is an extremely hydrophobic surface.
Yeah, exactly.
On its own.
Yeah.
No,
So O&R is getting the surface back to that.
Yeah.
And I love the versatility of it. My shop, we used it for glass to clean our
Definitely,
windows.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We used it as a clay lube. We used it as a
Interior cleaner?
Interior cleaner. We used it as a shampoo because we'd put it in our extractor. So it was our carpet shampoo.
In your steamer.
And we put it in our steamer to help use. It made the steamer work better.
Yeah.
And so we were steaming interiors. It actually helped clean the interior as well. So it had a ton of uses. And I was able to replace 5 chemicals that we used in the shop with 1 chemical.
We mop the floors here at the store with that
Yeah,
stuff.
definitely.
Yeah, you can mop your floors, clean your floors with it.
We use it for like everything.
Yeah. It's just not really good on cereal.
Yeah, that's
don't do
probably the
that.
only.
Yeah.
You can't
Don't
eat
drink it. Don't put it in
No.
your cereal.
No.
I know Anthony keeps trying. Every couple weeks, he's he goes back and goes, "What if I do this?"
So I typically just try to change up the cereal rather than the liquid, and it's still a work in progress.
Captain Crunch. Yeah, it was close. But it still cuts the inside of your
Yeah,
mouth.
it tastes like
yeah.
Captain Crunch with crunch berries because
Yeah.
blueberries.
Yeah,
It looks like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. So that's good information. I think
Yeah.
a lot of people will appreciate that. I think it's just a lot of people are still getting used to it, but I try to tell the benefits all the time. I say it's great for people with water restrictions, great for people that want to save water in general, great for
people that
who
wanna
live in
save their
hard water
paint.
areas, people that want to
How
save
about
their
that?
paint, and it's such a safe method.
People at home.
And but people always
Washing your garage in the winter.
They always say, well, you know, what do I do? I just take my big red sponge and I take my mitt straight to the car and I say pre-rinse it. Use
we use
sense.
IK multi.
Use common sense.
Use common sense. Pre-rinse it. If you're really worried about it, spray it on the surface, right? And then just look at what's going on. You're gonna see bubbles start to accumulate. You're gonna see things swirling around these bubbles. I'm like, just trust me. And then they do it, and they say, "Oh crap! I saw what you were talking
You know
about.
what we
That's
should do."
amazing." And I'm like, yes.
The
it is
best
amazing.
test someone can do is wash half their car with what they're using now, whatever soap they're using now, and wash the other half with O&R.
Yeah.
Yep.
And just look at the car when you're done. And then the next week, repeat that process.
Yeah, or go to the junkyard, get a hood.
Yeah.
Literally like we've done in training at the Optimum facility, which, by the way, folks, you can go. I know there's this, people think like, oh, they're not going to open the curtain. They're not going to, these companies are not going to let you see what's inside. You guys can go to Optimum, to Memphis, and get a tour.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You
weird,
can
right?
also sign up for trainings where you get a full tour of the facility.
Yep.
You can see the bottling plant. You can see the mixture plant. You can see all that stuff
The
on
only
the tour.
place you just don't get into the
You
lab.
don't get to see Dr. G's lab.
But you do get to see it's there.
But you get to go to Optimum. You can hang out I've been to Optimum many times. It's a great facility. Well, and the new facility I'm really excited about. So I've been to the old place.
Yeah.
But you can go, and they host these trainings, 8-9 times a year, 10 times a year?
No, we're down to a 4 or 5 now.
Okay.
Because I do a lot of trainings. Actually,
On the
someone,
road, you guys do
if someone
a lot.
wants a training at their shop, I will come to you.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well, how
but you
about
can
that?
go to the mothership. You can go to Optimum HQ and check it out. Super simple.
See it with your own eyes.
Yeah. and a lot of these companies do this. It's
Yeah.
not that hard.
No,
All you
no.
got to do is ask,
Yeah.
say, hey, I'm in town. You can go to Rupes. And
So rather than
if
just
they're-
assuming,
if-
actually,
if
go
Jason
there.
and
See
Dylan
for
are in
yourself.
town, they will give you a tour.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know?
exactly.
If
Yeah.
you're in Memphis, you can get a tour. Mac's usually there.
Yeah, and it's more interesting than Graceland, just
Yeah.
personally speaking.
Yeah,
You
while
know?
you're in Memphis,
Yeah.
you know,
Amongst
take a
the
look.
detailing crowd, I would say so.
Yeah, but so, there is that transparency. You
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
come in and check it out.
Yeah. But
You can see the place.
what you're getting to is in the class, we take hoods,
The hoods. Yeah.
from a scrapyard, and we start there. And,
But we did a test where we washed half the hood with just water,
Yeah.
and then we did half the hood with O&R.
Yeah.
And you can watch the O&R side as the O&R actively works to gather up all the dirt, where the water just kind of sits,
Yeah, well, soap and water.
or soap and water. It
Yeah.
just sits
'Cause
and doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
All it's trying to do is break down dirt and lift it off the surface. That's all the soap's doing. But with O&R, it's actively trying to pull dirt into itself and lift it off and put it into its ionic cushion.
Yeah.
And you can see it's actively working.
Because someone dismissive who hasn't used it before looks and goes, "Oh, water does that,"
Well,
and it
one-
doesn't.
one of
It
the-
does to a much smaller degree.
Yeah, very small.
Yeah.
One of the videos on YouTube, not from any of our channels, but John Didier, the forensic detailing channel.
Yeah,
When
love that
he
guy.
did his first test of O&R, just the look on his face when he tried to scratch the car with O&R.
Yeah.
Yeah.
grinding it
yeah.
in there.
And he was like, I don't believe this stuff. Well, I can't do the British accent. Anyways, but yeah,
Frenchman. That's what
yeah,
happens.
exactly. I can do the French accent all day long because that's how I normally speak. But nonetheless, John was amazed at the results of O&R because he'd never used it, and he was skeptical to say the least.
Yeah.
And he tried it, he liked it, and he's been using it ever since.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
That's
good
usually
stuff.
what happens to somebody who actually ends up trying
People
it.
have to try
Actually
it. Well,
tries
and
it,
it
yeah.
goes back to what
Actually
we've
tries
always
it.
said. We can talk about it all day long till the cows come home. We can make videos to show you how to use it. Just try it for yourself, and it's cheap. We sell 4-ounce bottles, guys, for $5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or $4, $3.99.
Yeah, it's $4.
Yeah.
You
You
can
can
choose
pick it
to
up.
believe or not
It's a
to
buck an
believe,
ounce.
but if you're going to go around saying it doesn't work and you haven't tried it, come on.
It's cheap
Yeah.
enough. You can just try it.
Yeah.
And,
Simple.
for somebody who's doing, say, like, prepping or something like that, go with the blue. That's the way
Yeah.
to go. But if you're just trying to do maintenance washes
Oh,
and stuff,
At home
Agreed.
all day.
this stuff,
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, but this is slicker because
And
you'll
again,
feel the consistency is
with-
even more so.
With the O&R no rinse with wax,
Wash and wax, yeah.
wax, you can use, you can still clean your windows with it.
Yep.
You can wipe down your interior with it. I like to just take a towel, dunk it in there, wring it out, and I'll wipe down my dash, my door panels, my leather seats, all that with O&R wash and wax.
And the wax.
Not your fabric seats. Don't go.
No, I wipe down my fabric seats
Yeah.
too.
Do you?
Oh, yeah.
Weirdos.
Yeah. Well, like my kids, they'll eat and maybe let's say like a piece of chocolate gets stuck to the seat.
Yeah.
I just take that towel with O&R wash and wax, and I'll spray a little bit on the surface there.
I bet it beads
And
up
I'll-
afterwards.
And
I
I'll
bet-
get
I
my
bet-
little upholstery brush. I'll give it a little scrub, wipe it off.
Picks
Yeah,
it right
it's
up.
good to go.
Well, now you need to pour water on it. See how hydrophobic that little area of
Probably
fabric
is.
would be.
You
Yeah.
never know.
Well,
But it looks good. It's safe to use on all the interior plastics, leather, and vinyl.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
And you
you
don't
can
want to
clean your
use that
windows
one
with
in your steamer, though.
you don't want to use that in your steamer.
And to a further point, because, a lot of folks will look at this and go, okay, rinseless wash, no rinse, great. and then it gets compared to like a waterless wash or something. That's not necessarily a
Two
fair
totally
fight.
different
You
worlds.
have a waterless wash.
Yes,
it's
we
called
do.
Opti-Clean.
Yes.
And O&R gets, all the limelight credit and everything like that. Opti-Clean's a good product, too.
We should talk about that for a quick second because we get a lot of questions on that.
I want to bring that up
People
because
wanna
I see
know
it compared so often, and it is not.
The difference between Opti-Clean and the difference between no rinse.
Yeah. So
Yes.
Opti-Clean has a lot more emulsifiers in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's designed to be sprayed on and wiped with a dry microfiber towel. And the Minx, spectacular for this, or the Eagle, but I prefer the Minx.
You're a Minx man.
I just love the feel of my hand. But nonetheless, the Minx works really well because of the really tight weave.
It's kind of spongy.
Yeah. So it picks up, and the sponginess of it also prevents you from putting pressure points on the vehicle, which can scratch. Yeah. So with a waterless wash like Opti-Clean, there's a lot of videos on the internet about doing a waterless wash, and it irks me because they spray the stuff on, then they take the towel and they're going like this on the car. No, don't do that.
Look what it did.
No, it's a wipe, and you
straight motion.
turn the towel as so you always have a fresh piece. of the
because
towel
you're
the surface.
lifting the dirt off the surface.
Yep.
You're not scrubbing the dirt into the
grinding
surface.
it in.
Yeah. A lot of the waterless wash products on the market have kale and clay in them, which will hide the little scratches and squirrels that you're doing by doing this.
Okay.
We don't. So if you want makeup, they sell it at other stores. We don't do makeup. So you're applying it, and you don't want to spray it till it's dripping off the surface, but you do want to cover the whole surface. Mm-hmm. And then let it dwell for a moment. It's not spray and wipe off immediately. It's spray the next panel, come back to the first panel. Don't want to let it air dry, but wipe it off before it dries. It's had time to emulsify the dirt. It's had time to lift it off the surface, to encapsulate it. Then you wipe it off. But there's a lot more emulsification. There's a lot more lubrication in the Opti-Clean. Opti-Clean, a lot of people love it for interiors and glass as well.
Mm-hmm. I find that it works really good if you're using O&R in your current wash regime. In the winter, I use Opti-Clean as a pre-spray or pre-soak for all the lower panels when you're getting all the dirt and debris and the heavier accumulation of dirt and grime and salt.
Those emulsifiers.
It works really good to break all that down.
Yep.
I pre-spray it and let it sit on the surface and break it down, and then I go back over the whole thing with O&R and start washing, and it makes it just come out clean.
And it does change the surface tension a little bit too, because I notice after I'm done wiping with Opti-Clean, I've had a lot of people comment in clinics and classes, and people have to stop by the store and they say, this is smooth by itself.
Yeah, it is.
This is really smooth, and that's because it has that just those agents in it that help with slickness.
Yeah, and it leaves a bit of a gloss enhancer behind.
Okay,
so,
that makes sense, because a lot of people wonder, and they ask, what's the difference between me using Opti-Clean and me using Instant Detailer and Gloss Enhancer, right? And that's a whole other topic that people ask about, and they say, oh, now how do I use, what's different between using all three of these? And I say, okay, once you start using all of them, you'll know what I mean. And I don't want to say buy them all and figure it out, but once you have them
salesman,
all, once you have them all, you already start thinking, oh, this is for this, this is for this, this is for this, and you have it in your head.
Yeah.
And
the way I like to describe it to people is I'll say O&R is what you use for every week when you're washing your car in your garage. Let's say we take it to the car show scene. You've got a hot rod that you like to drive that you wash every week in your garage. Perhaps maybe midweek there's a car show coming up. You can use Opti-Clean to do a waterless wash, just because it's been sitting in the garage. It's not all that bad. Maybe you've driven it once, but you want to give it a quick clean, but you don't want to do a full rinseless.
Get that dust off.
Use the Opti-Clean. Then drive to the car show, and when you get there, use Instant Detailer Gloss Enhancer as your wipe down show prep to get the car looking its best because of the gloss enhancers that are in it.
Yeah, and in a professional detailing setting, the Instant Detailer and Gloss Enhancer is a great inspection spray.
Yep.
Yeah.
So do your final walk around. You see a little smudge here and there. You see a little wipe on the window, whatever. Instant Detailer will get rid of that for you.
I always told my guys we had a bottle of Instant Detailer Gloss Enhancer and an Eagle Edgeless.
Yep.
And you go out and you wipe that car down, and that's what they had in their detailer's helper belt.
Yeah.
And they'd go out when the customer would show up. I'd make them go walk the car And the customer would see them out there with that product, with the towel, and they'd see their car looking its best.
Exactly.
That was also how I sold product and towels in my shop.
Gloss enhancers are no joke.
Because the car would look amazing. And some of it had to do is I would park it in the right spot so that the sun hit it at the right time of day when they were coming to pick up their car. So it looked its best.
Yep.
And then they just saw a really nice towel that they'd never seen before, and they saw him using a product, and they would assume that was how we detailed the whole car.
Yeah.
But, we didn't.
No.
We use a lot of products, but they thought, I need that product, and I need a stack of those towels.
Yeah.
And that's what they would, and they'd add that on. So little tip, guys.
Yeah,
exactly.
With the detail shop.
And I used, I still use, but during the drying process, right after I'm done with my normal no rinse wash with the blue stuff here, I'll typically use either OptiClean or Instant Detailing Gloss Enhancer as my drying aid. And because what I like is that the OptiClean provides more lubrication, right? Yep. So it's smoother. Give it a spray on the towel, give it a spray on the surface, and it's super slick. So that's one option. Or you can use Instant Detailing Gloss Enhancer, which would also increase slickness.
And as far as your olfactory senses goes, Instant Detailer is my
Smells
favorite.
Smells amazing.
Yeah.
It smells real good.
Yeah. It's a good product.
It's my favorite Optimum product for my nose, anyways.
For your nose, yeah. Right on. Cool. Yeah.
All right, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
No,
thank you, Ivan,
great.
for coming on and being on part of this.
Thanks for having me.
And as always, you guys can always message Ivan if you ever have any questions. Yvan Lacroix on Facebook. You can add him on his public page, and you can answer any questions you've got. Email.
He's answering the phone 24/7. If you call him, he will pick up.
Yeah,
pretty
any
much,
questions. And that's one of the great things about Optimum is their customer service. Most people, if you have a question, Ivan's in almost every single group on Facebook, and all you have to do is tag him on it, and he will answer the question. He will give you the definition of what
and even more helpful,
is.
he actually knows what he's talking about.
He's been a detailer for 30 years. He's been in the industry.
35
he knows,
now.
Okay, 35.
I've been detailing longer than these two guys have been alive.
Yeah, that's true.
True.
Just barely.
But he's got not only the wealth of knowledge, but also the business savvy to go with it because you've run a number of successful shops. Yep. You and Sylvie have had your guys' shop for a long time as well as franchised your shop. So any of you guys that are wondering about efficiency, wanting to learn how to make money the best way, how to maybe manage a shop properly, Ivan helped me a lot in mentoring me to work my shop, as well as Matt Ward, who took over my shop. So wealth of knowledge, not just in O&R, but in running a business properly.
A valuable business resource.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
So definitely message him or email him if you guys have any issues. Ivan at Opti-Coat.com.
Exactly. And Ivan is spelled Y-V-A-N.
Y-V-A-N.
Yes.
Yep. Wanted to make sure he cleared that up. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. And thank you so much for listening or watching if you're on the Rag Company YouTube channel, specifically the Rag Company Podcast YouTube channel. I always like to point that out. If you aren't subscribed, please do so. And if you're listening, you're probably on iTunes or anywhere, but what we really appreciate is when you leave us a review. If you leave a review, leave a rating, helps all of us. And also, I will point out, we're on the Rag Company Podcast, but I want to give a plug to the Optimum Synergy Podcast. Make sure you head over there, and if you aren't subscribed already, you ought to be, because if you like what we talk about, you're probably going to like what they talk about.
And they have Dr. G on the podcast every once in a while, and
hear from the man himself.
Yeah. Wealth of knowledge.
Exactly.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. From here at the Rag Company, adios.
See ya.
Bye.